Well, I'm just doing a check. I think y'all can hear me. Hi everyone, it's me Flower Child 567, and I'm getting ready to do the ESO Tamriel Storyteller Hour, and I'm going to get started here in just a second. And as you all probably know by now, I am doing Bosmer, or Wood Elf, or Boychi. I don't know how if we pronounce it phonetically or not. Sorry about that. You know, my language ability isn't always so great. I am not the best pronouncer of words. But it's okay because I'm me. Anyways, originally the Bosmer were known as the Boich or Boik. I don't know. Boiche. Anyone knows how to properly pronounce that, I would just love to know. I would say it Boichi or Boich. But anyways, now they're known as the Bosmer, the Wood Elves, Elven clan folk of Vallenwood, which is, of course, as we know, the province. It's very foresty, right? And it's in southwestern Tamriel. So, did you know that some used to call us, or we call ourselves, tree sap people? It's kind of funny, huh? And Wood Elves are also part of the Eldermere Dominion, just so you know. Or the High Elves, of course, are our relatives. Okay, let's see what time it is. I think. Okay, let's kick it off. Welcome, 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 and I'm so happy you're here. First of all, I want to just share with you. I tried to get Thalara to come, Thalara Wild One, a Bosmer, and I tried to get her to come today, but for some reason she was quite shy. I think it comes from living a recluse life in the forest of Vallenwood, but she did say that perhaps next Friday she will come and see us and share some of the lore with us. We'll have to just wait and see if she'll come and do that with us. Thank you for tuning in, my viewers. I really do appreciate you. And as always, if you have questions, you're very welcome to post those into the chat. All right, so without further ado, I guess we'll just get started. How's that? So here we go. Let's light the candles and open the doors and pull out the apocryphal tome and open that. And oh, look at that. We are so ready to begin. We are so ready to begin. But before we begin, because we're going to be looking at some lore never before shared, I am going to open up the archaic lore tablet. Oh yes, there we go. Let's open this up. Yep, there's the lore I want right there. So come on, come on, come on. Here we go. All right. Let's walk over here for a minute. Also, next week, if she comes, she said that she'll take us to her private domain. Well, wouldn't that be exciting to go to a Wood Elf's private domain? I think it would. All right. Well, here we are. And as you can see, I just want to show that Grotwood. Yeah. And Greenshade are two of the provinces in Vallenwood, which we talked about last week. And I do have some books right here that I'm going to continue to read. Last week we read about varieties of faith for the Wood Elf and alien survivals in Vallenwood, which we're not going to talk about today. But I wanted to go and read about the Great Tree, because for those of you who go to Grotwood, let's look at that on the map. Let's look at that on the map first. That is the center, right? That is the center of the Eldermere Dominion. It's called Eldenroot. Eldenroot is the stronghold. I would say it's also the original stronghold of the Mages Guild. Although I'm just this is my opinion. I haven't really researched a lot of the Mages Guild lore yet. That's in the future. But Mages Guild Magica, of course, is, I would say, very, very deeply connected with Eldenroot here in Grotwood. And yeah, and that's the Great Tree right there. One of the great trees. They have several great trees. If you look on the maps, you'll begin to see them. Here's Grotwood, of course, and you can see the Great Tree right there. And then if we go to Greenshade, let's see, there is a great tree right here. It's called the Rootwater Grove, and there's a great tree there. And there's another great tree right here in the Bramble Breach, which is where the Wilder King is, which we'll look at some of his lore. Maybe not today. I think Thalara said she would talk to us about the Wilder King and the Sylvanar and the Green Lady next week. So that's okay. And then here's another one, the Falinesti Spring site. And this is really an important not part of the main quest line for the Wood Elves, but it's definitely an important one. And then up here we've got the Verant Morris tree. Now the other part of Vallenwood, as you all know, is right here, Malabal Tor. And we have some great trees here too. Let me pull out a little bit. We have a great tree here called Deep Woods, and that's where we are where you rescue Lanwain, the Green Lady's sister. And here is Valenesti's summer site. And then, let's see, I thought there was one more here, but I'm not. Oh, there it is, yes. Oh, there's two more. Okay. Right here is the Vale Guard, which is the land of the Sylvanar and the Green Lady. Beautiful storyline. And then up here we have the Wilding or the Wilding Run. And up here is the Tree Hinge, Venerel of Soul. So the other thing coming very soon, next week, I think you'll all agree, we're so excited, is going to be the Gold Road, which I don't know if it fills in this whole zone right here. It'd be awesome if it did, or if this zone is going to be partitioned, or is it here? Let's see. I don't think it's here. I'm pretty sure it's up above. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out, but we have a new DLC coming to town. Oh, yeah. But right there, there's the main one. And then, of course, the northwest of Reaper's March is also very connected with the Wood Elves. All right. Now, let's take a look at the green tree, shall we? The Book of the Great Tree. This is just excerpts. All things to the tree, from the tree, all things. That's an Iliad prophecy. Let this be your first lesson. The roots of the first tree grasp all the ground on which you stand. And when the rains and wind come, it will be the roots that hold you firm. Under the roots lies Nirn, and over her boughs shine Aetherius. She provides both floor and roof. You need no other shelter. Azra root grows along the banks of the slow-moving rivers. Pull it gently free of the mud, and wrap the roots in a damp cloth. Thus the plant may be transported. These will take root in pots and baskets of moss if they are kept moist enough. When the Saliach elves first came to the Eldenroot, they were led to it by Meridia's shining colors, which told them this was her gift and blessing. The tree's branches and roots are as hands reaching at once into the Mundus and overworld. On this we built Mundus' greatest city and prove ourselves her highest and most honored race. In the heat of the summer, shroud the leaves of the alocasia in silk. The fruit will grow larger and sweeter if the growing process is thus slowed. It is said Yfree took its fallen fruit as tribute. The Alomeria plant is related to this, but will not bear fruit. You may know it as water hyacinth. When they arrived, they said, "This is the grove of the one great tree. This is the grove of the sages, the Elden Grove. We brought with us life and knowledge, and in the shade of the great tree, we build the classrooms and libraries so that we would make a harvest of our legacy of intellect. The seed of the nern root may be carried great distances by birds and other creatures. Near the great tree, the fronds grow tall and lush. Farther away, they may grow reedier and less hardy. Let this likewise be a lesson. Well, there you have it. I don't know about you, but I just love this. I love reading about things that have to do with all of the different aspects of lore and the wood elf. And even though we're talking about the great tree from the other world, as it links into Nirn, which is the realm in which Tamriel is located, remember, the Bosmer are linked to it. I just want to take a moment to stop and say hi out there to my viewers. It's so wonderful to see some more viewers tuning in. It's been a little bit of a journey, and we're getting ready to start some fun activities, and this is kicking them off. All right, let's go up here now to the Elden Tree. A Rubic Enigma for the Elden Tree, inscribed by Beradalmo the Signifier. Here is a truth read from the bark. The spike of Adamantia and its 0 stone dictated the structure of reality in its arubic vicinity, defining for the earth bones their story or nature within the unfolding of the dragon's time-bound tale. The Aldemari or Merithic elves were singular of purpose only so long as it took them to realize that other towers with their own stones could tell different stories, each following rules inscribed by Verum architects. And so the Mer self-refracted, each to their own creation, the Chimer following red heart, the Bosmer burgeoning green sap, the Altmer erecting crystal-like law et alia. But of all the prismatic Mer, none were more presumptuous than the Aliads of the Heartland. They built their tower in an open emulation of Adamantia, using as founding stone the great red diamond they had uncovered, Kaimel Adabal, said to be crystallized blood from the heart of Lorcan itself. For the heart on its arrow passed over the heartlands, birthing one of that postnymic quaternary meanings. Thus did white gold become Tower 1, as all know. As foretold by the moth-eyed Aliad hubris, was to bear bitter fruit, with their vision on high, to behold the other worlds. They failed to note the seething needlings at their feet, until the thralls rose up and took their tower away from them. Kimel Adabal they took as well, but not before the arch-mage Anumaril fangled an 8-fold staff of towers, each segment a semblance of a tower in its dance. And then 7 of these segments were borne by white gold knights to distant fold places where they were hidden. This was all unknown to Palin al-Essia, be certain, or there might have been a different 8 divines. Thus white gold onto green sap. The boyish elves were of the earth bones, who most hearkened to Yfree and his green songs. They did not build a tower, they grew it, a great graph oak, whose roots sprang from a perchance acorn, and this was their stone. And because the acorn might perchance have been elsewhere, thus was green sap manifold and several, and each could walk. Therefore each green sap was also every green sap. Within each were told all the stories of the green, with every ending true. So doors therein were not always doors certain, but to this the boyish became. Bosmer became inured, and indeed grew to relish these doors equivocal, for such was their nature in the schism of the prism. In this way the Bosmer learned which songs made the trees dance, and which dances they might do. Now return we must to the 8th segment, or rather segment 1, for Tamriel had fangled it in similitude to Tower 1, which itself reflected Tower 0. When the Aelids fled the heartlands, they went to all 8 corners of the compass, and this was a chosen thing, though many corners spelled doom. But more Aelids fled to Vallenwood than to all other directions combined, and this too was chosen. Among these clans would Tamriel, wearing segment 1 as a femur, for how but by walking can a spoke advance its hub? Green sap's elves welcomed the Aelids so long as the Heartlanders agreed not to dissonate the green song. All agreed to this save Tamriel, who coughed into his hand unnoticed. He asked the great Cameron to show him green sap, and was brought to one that by happenstance stood then in Eldenroot. Once within the great graph, he passed through a door equivocal, and found his desire, the perchance acorn. It was one of many, but for Tamriel, one was enough. Next, the fanglement. Tamriel brought forth segment 1 among the roots, and showed it to the golden nut, and this told an ending, so that the stone became a definitive or definite acorn, that Elden Tree would not walk again. But Tamriel yet had further intentions for it. Using his intention as tonal instruments, he dismantled his bones and built of them a mundus machine that mirrored Nirn and its planets. And when he had used all his substance in fangling this orrery, he placed the segment scepter within, hiding it between the moons. Then he waited. But what he waited for did not eventuate, and perchance his waiting yet. For Tamriel had hoped to convert green sap into white gold, and thereby make the Heartlanders' realm anew. However, Tamriel did not know, and was not able to know, why his plant went awry. You see, Aeliad magic is about will, and shall, and must, but under green sap, all is perchance. The Ayleid Fangler's plan could not succeed, and yet neither could it fail. For this is a story that has not yet found its ending. Such a great book. Such a great story, don't you agree? So I thought what would be absolutely exciting would be to maybe, just maybe, take a moment to consider our green sap folk, the Bosmer people, and their origin, which we talked about last or 2 weeks ago. They have such obscure legends, and Green Pact with Yfree really stand on the defense of the forest, flourishing and allowing it to be primordial still, making shape-shifting a necessity. And there are some obscure legends that say not all Bosmer agreed to the Green Pact, and others wish to keep their shape-shifting abilities. For the Green Pact does not allow shape-shifting. Well, I have something to tell you. If she does come next week, though she is part of the Green Pact, our Thalara Wild One is a rebel, and she stands behind shape-shifting, for you see, she comes from the line of fawns of deer medicine, and is known to shapeshift into a white fawn. Yes, indeed. And often, if one were to look closely, standing behind her in the shadows, one might actually see the essence of her ghost-like spirit fawn self. Well, we'll have to look for that next time we meet her. Hopefully she will indeed come to us, yeah? I think that would be absolutely wonderful. So, now, are you ready for me to read a little bit more about the Green Elves, the Bosmer? I just love reading about them. I want to share with you something about their wit. Now, it is true that her adventures in the Gold Road will not be alone. She will be traveling with another Bosmer, and we shall maybe see if we can coax him to come and join her next week. We shall see. But I want to share with you about the shape, the size, the appearance of the Bosmer, for they're quite different. And here's the thing about the Bosmer, and then we're going to look at the Green Pact. But here's the thing about the Bosmer. There are both tall, very wraith-like, slender, spindly Bosmer. And then there are the little ones who are known to disappear into the foliage, to become one with the forest so much that one second you see them and the next they are gone. Very interesting indeed. Now, I do want to talk to you a moment about the Green Pact. The Bosmer are bound by the terms of the Green Pact to not harm the Vallenwood. And while the Green Pact is very solid in its conviction that the Bosmer do not eat anything made from plant life, fruits are only allowed if they have already fallen from the tree, and the seeds must be replanted lest they face the wrath of the forest. As such, their recipes tend to include animal products, lots and lots and lots of meat. But we'll talk about that another time. But they do interpret their meal, their foodstuffs, a little differently. So fallen fruit, of course, unearthed vegetables and roots, anything that has already dropped from the vine. Oh, they do indulge in dairy products. They love cheese, and they love certain types of beverage that are fermented and milky like. They adore honey because it drips from the hive. They probably love most mushrooms. And of course, insects are eaten with zest by all but the most ultra-zealous of Pact Bosmer. We shall talk about any type of ritualistic cannibalism at different time, though it does exist within the Green Pact. And that is all that I shall say. Let's go here now for a moment and let's look at another lore book, shall we? Let's see, do I have any other lore books? We do have the war customs of the tribal Bosmer, but I'm not in the mood to look at anything that is remotely connected to war today. So let's go into our lore archive, our lore library that we all have. And let's go down here to lore and culture. We do have a few in here. I hope you're all having a wonderful day and that you're enjoying story time. Here we go. Let's look at this. Let's look at Green Pact Bosmer observations, shall we? Yes, this is by Dinikathus Prisus. The author of this text would like to make plain that there is a profound distinction to be made between the wood elves observed by the author deep within Vallenwood and the wood elves who reside in other corners of Nirn. The observations here recorded are only meant to describe these wild Bosmer who adhere to what they call the old ways, and are not meant to apply to wood elves who have adjusted to life in normal society. Normal society meaning in the towns throughout. But the wood elves of deep Vallenwood, or Green Pact Bosmer as they call themselves, can be described as fanatical in their devotion to the Green Pact. They eat only meat, including the bodies of their enemies slain in battle, and attack any who would harm the forest in which they live. Nevertheless, it would be inappropriate to characterize them as feral. In fact, they are highly intelligent, highly curious, highly rational individuals with rich cultural traditions vested in the forest and in their spiritual leaders, the storytellers or spinners. In fact, while they can be extremely fierce in battle, they do not attack unless provoked, and are more than hospitable to strangers in their midst. They take their cues from the natural world with a mixture of fear and respect, no doubt cultivated by tales of the kind of angry vengeance the Green Pact is said to take on those who violate the pact. Indeed, from an early age, Pact Bosmer are raised to believe in the ooze, a kind of purgatorial state reserved for Bosmer who violate the pact. And still more terrifying stories of the Green unleashing all of its wild power against Bosmeri clans who harm it. Ooh. They are quite fierce, aren't they? Let's go down here. Ladies of the Green. This is actually very nice. By Storyteller. The wood elves are by nature secretive and reclusive, yet I do not believe they intentionally hide their lore from outsiders. Take, for example, their practice of choosing new leaders every generation. No one outside the Wood Elves knows exactly how they choose their Green Lady, but after only a little time, I have discovered much about this position role and title. Every generation, a somewhat nebulous concept in itself, there appears no set length of time. A young woman is chosen from among all the Wood Elves to give up her own identity and become the Green Lady. The Green Lady represents, as I understand it, the ferocity, the strength, and the pure physicality of the Bosmer. Does this mean she is their war leader or chieftain? Not exactly. Certainly, much of the Green Lady's strength can be turned toward battle, but she is more a manifestation of the physical prowess and even health of their people. I would call her a demigod if I did not think it might offend the true gods as well as the Wood Elves themselves. But it might be an apt description. So, the Green Lady is the wife to the Sylvanar, and he too changes. Now, so one of the qualities of a Wood Elf is that they do distrust those outside of Vallenwood. And any foreigner who does come within their domain is watched. Their eyes of different colors peer out from the vegetation, from the fauna and the flora laden throughout the Vallenwood. And they watch, and they watch to see what these visitors might do, what they might do. And it is true. It is true that there is something to be said about what is happening in Vallenwood. Okay, let's take a look at something else, shall we? Let's take a look at what might be happening in another part of the lore. There's one more. It's down here. I'm almost positive. I saw it. Vallenwood Hounds, yes. Haha. Vallenwood Hounds, an entry by the Altmurray Travel Guide. The hounds of her scene are legendary hunters, but none among them are more legendary than those who make Vallenwood their hunting ground. There are several reasons for their incredible reputation. The first is Vallenwood itself, wild, untamed, and some say quite aware. There are entire regions of this wood which remain unexplored and house the most astonishing creatures. Only the most proficient trackers can hunt their prey in this strange forest without getting utterly lost. The second reason is that many of these hunters are Wood Elves, born stalkers of prey with a gifted sense for tracking. But the biggest reason for the lofty reputation of the Vallenwood Hounds is the hunter called Harris, a legend in his own right. Some dispute that he even exists, but there's not a hound that hasn't heard tell of his exploits. Said to be unmatched in his devotion to her scene and his skill of tracking, Harris was last heard from over 100 years ago when he set out to hunt the fabled pale Shanki tiger. Others hunting in Vallenwood have claimed to have seen him from time to time, still hunting that elusive beast, although, if these claims were true, Harris would have to have lived long beyond the normal lifespan of an elf, which can go all the way to 300 years old. Did you know that? Average is 200 years. 300 years, of course, is a very old wood elf. Still, every one of the hounds of Vallenwood can trace his training to harass, and aspires to best him in fame and skill that alone makes the Vallenwood hounds the greatest hunters in Tamriel. So if you want to find something, in this great big world of Tamriel, you know what you have to do, don't you? Yep. You have got to go find the hounds. Okay. Let's look at the wood elf etiquette, an imperial perspective. This is by Carandus Calvus in the year 2723. The empire now extends its reach into the kingdom of Vallenwood. Do not be surprised if during your travels you run into the mirror of the forest. The wood elves are surprisingly social and can be very friendly with outsiders, but you must be aware of their peculiar culture and customs so as not to provoke them to anger. The wood elves follow a strict religion called the Green Pact. Any wood elf who willingly takes up this pact is prohibited to harm any tree or plant in Vallenwood. This includes chopping down trees, harvesting fruit, or digging vegetables from the ground. As a result of this, wood elves who follow the Green Pact eat a strict diet of meat and cheeses. This very specific restriction in what they eat leads to certain physical reactions which you may not typically encounter in public or with such frequency. If a wood elf makes mention of feeding the fire, simply grow accustomed to the breathing through your mouth for the count of 20 heartbeats. While few wood elves will think badly of you for picking a flower or tapping a tree for sap, some will see this as an act of disrespect. Strictest adherents to the Green Pact may react quite strongly, perhaps violently. This is not meant to alarm you. Remember to treat the forests of Vallenwood with respect. If you are uncertain, speak with the nearest wood elf tree thane for guidance. You never know who is watching. Now remember, as I've already shared with you, Gratwood, Green Shade, and Moloktar. Whoops, Moloktar. Oh, don't you love that? Let's look at our map again so you can see Tamriel. Gratwood, Green Shade, and right here, Malabal Tor. This is Vallenwood proper. It shall be interesting to see if Vallenwood happens to expand where the Gold Road takes us. I'm curious indeed. Curious indeed. So anyways, shall we continue? I think we should. There's more to see. Yes, indeed. I want to take you over to the Green Shade. I want to take you to Grotwood, I want to share with you the tree before, the Elden Tree before we go, because it no longer walks. Some of the others do walk. Okay. Rituals and revelations, we're going to leave that for a different time. And there's a couple in Tells, but we're going to leave that for another time. Where is it? We're going to come down here. Let's see, I don't think there's any here that we want. We've already looked at the Wood Elves. I thought there was one in there. Okay, let's look at the Grotwood lore. We already read that one. Common arms of Vallenwood and the company of Wood Orcs, which they traverse. Let's look at that because that is part of Vallenwood. Oh wait, we already looked at that. This one. So these guys, the Wood Orcs, are probably the most, harassing group in Vallenwood. So in the company of Wood Orcs, from the personal journal of Cicerone, orcs are strange. They're unsubtle, brutish, and straightforward in just about every way. Certainly, there is variation in personality between individuals, but there are some things a Bosmer can always expect from an orc, none of which our culture can fully comprehend. Their wood orc cousins are stranger still, but for different reasons. They ironically share more commonalities with the Bosmer and are found mostly within Vallenwood. The Wood Orcs prize strength and honor, and above all else, their interpretation of what those things mean separates them from their northern Orsinium cousins. For instance, having strength to a Wood Orc means having agility and mobility as much as it does muscular power and endurance. I would like to hear an Orsinium Orc's take on the topic, but I imagine that if one considers an Orsinian Orc as formed like a member of a heavy infantry regiment, then a Wood Orc is like a light skirmisher in the same army. The Wood Orcs, like the Bosmer, also flourish in forested areas, and they've made no pact with the green. By my bow, they have utter disregard for and lack of knowledge of the Green Pact, but I wouldn't be surprised if they stood in Yfree's favor in some way with the ease I've seen them navigate tree-laden regions. Why worry about this? I've had Wood Orcs on the mind lately. It's difficult not to when one has been among them, as I have. I was ordered through their territory by a local battle reeve to deliver a message who told it would be easy to avoid detection. But Wood Orcs are a very different breed of orc, as I've detailed above. When they caught me, no one save a Bosmer ever catches me. They noticed my presence in the trees above, though I suspect they must have been wary of something in their forest for days. I was ready, though, and felled 2 of the trio who turned on me with the same arrow. I was taken aback. I'd expected to fell 3, but the last one, inexplicably and in a most unorcish fashion, bolted out of the way like lightning. I leapt, rolled to the ground, just as a curved hand axe whirled into the trees through the space where my heart would have been. I came to my feet with dagger ready and parried a blow from a second hand axe that nearly shook the knife from my hand. The Wood Orc growled and swung again, and in that moment I couldn't have told him from his Orsinium cousins. He fought with the agility and grace of my people, mixed with the honor-bound fury of the northern orcs. He managed to tear a deep wound in my side. As I tossed a handful of dirt into his eyes, half blinded by pain myself, I stumbled to relative safety in the darkness of the woods as he cursed and spat, called me a coward who disguised himself with the forest instead of fighting with it. Ursine must have walked with me that day, for I was sure that battle was lost. The Wood Orc fought too fiercely, knew his own forest too well, but he never did manage to find me again. I would welcome a second chance, a second contest, but in Bosmer territory. Yeah. Well, hello out there. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you indeed. Thank you for tuning in. And I wanted to just stop a moment and say thank you to all of you who have been watching today's Tamriel Storyteller Hour as I focus on the Bosmer and the Wood Elf. Now, do you know why I'm focusing on the Bosmer, on the Wood Elf, and then of course just now the Wood Orc? Because the truth is the Gold Road, which releases on Tuesday, June 16th for us, the new DLC, I would do a little dance. In fact, maybe I should do a little dance. One second. Let me do a little dance here. Because I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Let's see. My little dance I think I have is... yeah, I guess I have a Khajiit. So I'll do that dance. Oh, yo, 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 yo. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I've been waiting for the Gold Road since it was first announced. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Okay, I know. You know what? This is my game. This is my fun. I can be as silly as I want to be, and not one other person can say one word against. Yeah, indeed. Laugh on, laugh on. All right, let's take a look. Here's my last lore piece for today. Let's go into Green Shade, and then we're going to pop over there, and I'm going to say bye for today. We are going to look at the Ooze, a fable. This is a story the Wood Elves of Vallenwood tell their children from a very young age. Once, there was nothing but formlessness. The land held no shape. The trees did not hearken into timber and bark, and the elves themselves shifted from form to form. This formlessness was called the Ooze. But Yfree took the ooze and ordered it. First, she told of the green, the forest, and all the plant life in it. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't know that Yfree is female? Oh. She gave the green the power to shape itself as it willed, for it was her first tale. The elves were Yfree's second tale. As Yfree spun the story, the elves took the form they have today. Yfree gave them the power to tell stories, but warned them against trying to shape themselves or the green. Shifting and the destruction of the forest were forbidden. Instead, Yfree commended the wood elves to the green so that they might ask the green to provide them with shelter and a safe passage, and as long as they respected the green, it would obey. This is called the Green Pact. Finally, Yfree told of all the beasts that crawl on the land or swim in the rivers or fly in the air. These Yfree gave to the wood elves as sustenance. They were to eat no plants, but consume only meat. Yfree also told that no wood elf who is struck down by another wood elf should be allowed to sink into the ground, but should instead be consumed like the beasts. This is called the meat mandate. When the stories were told, Yfree saw that they had a pleasing shape, but some of the ooze remained. Yfree told a final tale then, and gave purpose to the ooze. Any wood elf that violated the Green Pact, either by shifting or by damaging the green, would be condemned to return to the formlessness of the ooze. Their names would be scrubbed from the story Yfree is telling and replaced with silence. The wood elves tell that those who are favored by the green have the power to release the condemned from the ooze. But where the condemned go and what form they take once they are released is unknown. No one has ever seen the ooze, or heard the souls trapped in it, or met the one who can relieve the condemned of their punishment. But if you ask a wood elf if he thinks the ooze is just a tell, he will invariably reply, there is no such thing as just a tell. All right, my friends, here we go. That's all of the stories for today. So let me take you to the heartland, to the heart of the Green Elves, of the Pact, and we're going to journey. I'm going to show you. Don't go away yet. Don't go away. Don't go away, my friends. Let's take a journey first. Let me get you ready. Let me get you ready. Let me open up. Well, let's first see where we're going to go to Brotwood, to Eldenroot, which is located right there on Tamriel. Good, I got it located. And now let's open up the Sigic portals, shall we? Oh yes, there it is. Now let's travel. Let's go, my friends. Let's go. We're going to travel outside the snug pod of Thalara, but not in it, where she must welcome us into her own. Here we are, Grotwood, the home to the Aldemary Dominion. Come this way, my friends, into the great tree that no longer walks. Oops. Into the great tree that no longer walks. Eldenroot, home of the Aldemary Dominion and all of the Bosmer. How beautiful is that, yes? And that's where I'm leaving you today. Thank you, my dear friends, for tuning in. May you have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you next week. I'll see you on Monday for Dungeon Mania with my friends. Bye for now.